Title in front of everyone. My girlfriend laughed and said, "Don't you get it? You're not my first choice. You're just the reliable option." I replied calmly, "You're right." I stood up, walked past them, got into my car, and didn't look back even once. She thought she had won. That evening, her friend suddenly messaged me. "Do you know what happened there after you left?" I asked what. "My name is Alex, and I'm a 29-year-old freelance video editor working primarily with corporate clients and small production companies. It's not glamorous, but it pays well enough that I own my condo outright in a decent neighborhood and drive a car that doesn't embarrass me. I've always been the kind of guy who keeps his head down, does good work, and doesn't ask for much drama in return. That philosophy served me well professionally. In my personal life, not so much. I'd been dating Caitlin for 2 years. We met through mutual friends at a rooftop party in downtown Chicago back in the summer of 2022. She was a marketing coordinator at a tech startup, bubbly and charismatic in a way that drew people to her like moths to a flame. I'm more reserved, the type who observes from the corner with a beer, so when she approached me that night, I was genuinely surprised. "You look like you're plotting an escape route," she'd said, grinning. "Always have one planned," I replied. She laughed, and that was it. We started dating a week later. For the first year, things were good. Great, even. She'd come over after work, we'd cook dinner together, watch movies, talk about our days. I met her parents at Thanksgiving. She met mine at Christmas. We talked about moving in together, maybe getting a dog. Normal relationship stuff. But somewhere around month 15, I started noticing changes. She became distant, constantly on her phone, making plans that somehow never included me. When I'd ask about it, she'd wave me off with just work stuff or catching up with friends. She started making comments about my career, little digs disguised as jokes. "Must be nice to work in your pajamas all day," she'd say, laughing. Or, "Don't you ever want to do something more?" I don't know, impressive? I'm not the jealous type, and I'm definitely not insecure about my work, so I let it slide. Big mistake. Update 1: The incident happened on a Saturday afternoon in late November, 3 weeks ago. Caitlin had invited me to lunch with some friends at this trendy bistro in Lincoln Park, the kind of place where a salad costs $18 and they serve water in mason jars. I should have known something was off when she was vague about who would be there, but I figured it was just casual. When I arrived at 12:30, I immediately understood. Seated at the table were Caitlin, her best friend Harper, and 2 guys I'd never met before. One was this tall, athletic type with perfectly styled hair and an expensive watch. Later learned his name was Brandon. The other was quieter, wearing thick-rimmed glasses and a blazer, Colin. "Alex, you made it," Caitlin said, her voice unnaturally bright. Something in her tone felt performative, like she was acting for an audience. I sat down in the empty chair next to her. The vibe was weird from the start. Harper kept exchanging glances with Caitlin, and Brandon was doing most of the talking, going on about his job as an investment analyst, his recent trip to Monaco, his new Audi. Classic peacocking. The guy couldn't go 3 sentences without mentioning money or status. So I told my boss, if they want me managing that portfolio, they need to make it worth my while, Brandon said, leaning back in his chair. "I don't work for peanuts." Colin nodded politely. Harper looked uncomfortable. Caitlin was hanging on Brandon's every word. I ordered a burger and tried to engage in conversation, but it felt like I was invisible. Colin asked me what I did, and when I said video editing, he nodded politely before turning back to Brandon's story about some yacht party in Miami. The waiter brought our drinks. I sipped my water and checked my phone, half wondering why Caitlin had even invited me. Then Brandon turned to Caitlin. "So when are you finally going to ditch this small-time gig and come work for a real company?" he said, smirking. "With your skills, you could be pulling 6 figures easy." Caitlin laughed. "Soon, hopefully. Just waiting for the right opportunity." "You've always had options," Brandon continued, his eyes flicking to me briefly. "You've just got to be willing to take risks instead of playing it safe." The air changed. I could feel it. Harper looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Colin was suddenly very interested in his water glass. Caitlin tilted her head, and that's when she said it. "You know what? You're absolutely right, Brandon." She turned to me, her expression somewhere between pity and amusement. "Alex, don't you get it? You're not my first choice. You're just the reliable option." The table went silent. I could hear the clinking of silverware from the table next to us, some couple laughing at a private joke. Harper's eyes went wide. Colin coughed into his napkin. Brandon looked like he'd just won the lottery, a satisfied smirk spreading across his face. I sat there for maybe 3 seconds, processing. My heart was pounding, but my face stayed calm. I thought about all the responses I could give. I could argue. I could make a scene. I could ask her what the hell was wrong with her. Instead, I said, "You're right." I stood up, pulled 2 20s from my wallet and dropped them on the table for my uneaten burger and walked out. I didn't look at any of them. I heard Caitlin call my name once. "Alex, wait." But I kept walking, got in my car, started the engine, and drove home. I didn't cry. I didn't punch the steering wheel. I didn't even turn on the radio. I just drove, my mind completely blank, operating on autopilot. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in my living room, staring at the wall, trying to figure out what the hell had just happened. Update 2: I spent the rest of Saturday in a fog. I called my brother around 3 p.m. "She said what?" he asked, his voice rising. "Exactly what I told you." "In front of people?" "Yep." "Jesus Christ, Alex. What did you do?" "I left." "Good. That's good. Are you okay?" "I don't know yet." We talked for about 20 minutes. He offered to drive down from Milwaukee, but I told him I was fine. I wasn't, but I needed to process this alone. That evening around 7 p.m., I got a text from Harper. "Harper, do you know what happened there after you left?" I stared at the message for a minute before responding. "Me what?" "Harper, can I call you?" "Me, sure." My phone rang 10 seconds later. "Alex, I'm so sorry," Harper said immediately. Her voice was shaking. I had no idea she was going to say that. None of us did. I swear if I had known. "It's fine," I said flatly. "What happened after I left?" Harper took a deep breath. "Okay, so the second you walked out, Brandon started laughing. Like full-on laughing. He said something like, 'Damn, that was cold,' and Caitlin just sat there looking shocked. I think she expected you to argue or beg or something. Like she wanted a big dramatic scene. Of course she did. Then Colin, who I guess has more backbone than I thought, looked at Caitlin and said, 'That was genuinely one of the cruelest things I've ever seen someone do.' Caitlin tried to play it off like it was a joke, that she was just messing around, but I told her it wasn't funny. At all. And Brandon kept encouraging her, saying she dodged a bullet, and that she deserved someone more ambitious. That you were holding her back. That's when I got up and left too. I told her I wanted no part of whatever the hell that was. I texted Colin later, and he said he left about 5 minutes after me. He told me Caitlin and Brandon stayed and ordered more drinks. I rubbed my temples. So she's with him now. I don't know. Maybe. Alex, there's something else you should know. My stomach dropped. What? Caitlin's been talking to Brandon for months. Like, months. I found out from another friend, Jenna, who saw them together at a bar in August. Jenna didn't think much of it at the time, thought maybe they were just friends. But after today, I asked Caitlin about it last month, and she told me she was keeping her options open in case things with you didn't work out. Those were her exact words. I felt something crack inside my chest. August. That was 4 months ago, right when she started acting distant. Right when the little comments started. Thanks for telling me, I said quietly. Alex, I'm really sorry. You didn't deserve that. You've always been good to her. Too good, honestly. No, I didn't deserve it. But now I know. If you need anything, I'll let you know. Thanks, Harper. We hung up shortly after. I sat on my couch in the dark for hours, not moving, just thinking. I'd wasted 2 years on someone who saw me as a backup plan. A safety net. The reliable option. The guy she settled for while she waited for something better to come along. Update 3 the next morning, Sunday. I woke up to 17 missed calls from Caitlin and a flood of texts that had come in throughout the night. Caitlin. Alex, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Caitlin, can we please talk? Caitlin, I was just trying to be funny. Brandon was being an ass, and I was playing along. Caitlin, please answer me. Caitlin, you're being childish. We need to talk about this like adults. Caitlin, fine. Ignore me then. That last one made me laugh bitterly. Childish. Right. I'm childish for not wanting to talk to the woman who publicly humiliated me at lunch. I didn't respond. Instead, I spent the day going through our relationship in my head, identifying all the red flags I'd ignored. The times she'd cancel plans last minute to go out with work people. The way she'd compare me to her friends' boyfriends. The constant hints that I should be more ambitious, make more money, dress better, be someone I wasn't. On Monday, I blocked her number. I also started looking through my finances. Caitlin had a key to my place. She had some stuff here, clothes, toiletries, a few books. I didn't want her coming back for them and trying to start a conversation, so I texted Harper and asked if she could act as a go-between. Harper, of course. I'll get her stuff and drop it off with her. Me, I appreciate it. I just don't want to see her. Harper, completely understand. Tuesday morning, Harper texted me again. Harper, Caitlin's losing it. She's been calling me nonstop asking how to reach you. She showed up at my apartment last night crying, saying you won't answer her calls. Me, not my problem anymore. Harper, fair. But I thought you should know, Brandon ghosted her. I actually laughed out loud. Me, when? Harper, Sunday night. She texted him asking to meet up, and he left her on read. She tried calling, and he blocked her. Turns out he has a girlfriend in New York. He was just messing around, showing off. Me, karma's efficient. Harper, she's telling people you broke up with her out of nowhere, and that she's devastated. She's playing the victim. Me, of course she is. Harper, I've been setting the record straight. So has Colin. A lot of our mutual friends are not impressed with her right now. Jenna told everyone about seeing her with Brandon months ago. People are putting the pieces together. Me, I appreciate that. On Wednesday, I got an email from Caitlin. She must have figured out I blocked her number. It was long, rambling, full of apologies and excuses. She claimed she'd been going through something and that Brandon had been manipulating her. She said she loved me and wanted to fix things. She said she'd made a terrible mistake and that she'd do anything to make it right. The subject line was, "Please read this." I deleted it without finishing. There was nothing she could say that would change what happened. She'd shown me exactly who she was, and I wasn't interested in giving her a chance to take it back. Thursday, my brother drove down and took me out for dinner. We went to this Mexican place we used to go to in college, got margaritas and enchiladas, and just talked. He told me I looked better than I had in months, that I'd been walking around like a zombie for the past year. Dude, you were miserable, he said. I could see it every time we talked. You just didn't want to admit it. I thought I was doing the right thing, sticking it out. Sometimes the right thing is knowing when to walk away. You did good, man. That conversation helped more than he probably knew. Final update, it's been 3 weeks since that lunch. I've had time to process everything, and honestly, I feel lighter than I have in months. Maybe even years. A few days after I blocked Caitlin, I got a text from Colin asking if I wanted to grab a beer. We met at a sports bar near his place on a Friday night, and he apologized for not speaking up sooner. He said he'd always thought Caitlin was treating me poorly, but didn't feel like it was his place to say anything. You were too good for her anyway, he said, nursing his beer. She's one of those people who's never satisfied. Always chasing the next shiny thing. Always looking for someone better, richer, more exciting. People like that end up alone. I'm starting to realize that. For what it's worth, man, the way you handled that. Walking out with zero drama? That takes serious strength. Most guys would have lost it. I thought about it. But what would that accomplish? Nothing. You made the right call. We've hung out a few times since. He's a good guy. Turns out we have a lot in common. Both into basketball. Both can't stand reality TV except for the really trashy stuff. Both prefer dive bars to fancy clubs. Harper told me last week that Caitlin moved back to her parents' house in the suburbs. Apparently, she quit her job after some kind of meltdown at work, showed up late multiple times, snapped at her boss, just stopped caring. She's figuring things out, which I guess is code for unemployed and living with mom and dad at 28. Brandon never contacted her again. Most of her friend group has distanced themselves from her after word got around about what she did. Harper said people started looking at her differently, realizing that if she could be that cruel to someone she supposedly loved, she could do it to anyone. I haven't heard from Caitlin directly since that email. Part of me wonders if she'll try again, show up at my door or something. But honestly, I don't care. If she does, I won't answer. Some bridges you burn because you have to. Others burn themselves. I've started going to the gym more, picked up a few new clients, and I'm actually enjoying my life for the first time in a year. I've been sleeping better, eating better. I realized how much energy I was spending trying to be enough for someone who'd already decided I wasn't. Last Saturday, I went to a friend's wedding out in the suburbs. At the reception, I ended up sitting next to someone, Lauren, a graphic designer from Milwaukee who knew the groom from college. We started talking during dinner and didn't stop for 3 hours. We talked about everything from indie films to our shared love of terrible reality TV to the best pizza places in Chicago. She was smart, funny, and genuine in a way that felt refreshing after 2 years of Caitlin's constant need for validation. Text me if you want to continue this conversation sometime, she said as I was leaving, handing me her number on a napkin. Old school. I texted her the next day. We're getting coffee this weekend. I don't know where it'll go, and I'm not in a rush to figure it out. What I do know is that I'm done being anyone's backup plan. I'm done settling for someone who sees me as reliable instead of irreplaceable. I'm done with people who need me to be something I'm not just so they can feel better about themselves. Caitlin thought she was trading up when she humiliated me in front of those people. She thought she was choosing the exciting option, the ambitious guy with the Audi and the portfolio and the Monaco stories. Instead, she blew up her own life chasing someone who didn't want her and lost the one person who actually did. I'm not angry anymore. Anger takes energy, and she's not worth it. I'm just done. And honestly, that feels pretty damn good. Edit 1. A few people have asked if I think Caitlin will try to come back again. Honestly, probably. People like her don't handle rejection well, especially when they're the ones who caused it. But it doesn't matter. I'm not the same person who walked into that restaurant 3 weeks ago. Edit 2. To everyone saying I should have confronted her or made a scene, I thought about it. Trust me, I had a whole speech prepared in my head. But the most powerful thing I could do was walk away with my dignity intact. She wanted a reaction. She wanted drama. I didn't give her one. Edit 3. Someone asked what I would say if I saw her again. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Some people don't deserve closure. They just deserve to be forgotten.